Welcome back to the Crypto Bot channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is testing a critical area of resistance here in the short term as BlackRock just sold the most amount of Bitcoin that they've ever sold in a single day. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside the Bitcoin dominance potentially starting a bearish reversal, which is good news for the altcoin market, signaling an altcoin season, while Ethereum is currently forming a massive bullish pattern and the price of Solana is already beginning a short-term bullish reversal, while XRP is flashing a possible warning signal here in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about the Bitcoin news today, because just yesterday on Thursday, we saw the largest ever outflow from specifically the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF, meaning essentially BlackRock just sold the most amount of Bitcoin that they've ever sold in one single trading day. Because in case you're new to all of this, essentially these Bitcoin ETF providers have to either buy or sell Bitcoin based on inflows or outflows coming into the spot Bitcoin ETFs, because these are sports Bitcoin ETFs, which means they have to be backed by Bitcoin. And so in other words, when an investor comes in and buys shares of these Bitcoin ETFs, the ETF providers like BlackRock or Fidelity, for example, are having to get that money and then buy Bitcoin in order to back the ETF, to keep the value of the ETF changing the same as the price of Bitcoin. But of course, when there's an outflow, so when an investor sells those shares and gets their money out of these ETFs, essentially the ETF providers like BlackRock or Fidelity have to do the opposite. They have to sell the Bitcoin in order to keep the net asset value relative to the Bitcoin price. So the ETF shares are essentially moving the same as the Bitcoin price. And so when we have these net outflows, like what we saw yesterday, $250 million net outflow, when we look at all of the ETFs combined, essentially that means sell pressure. That means the ETFs are selling Bitcoin because they're having to pay out those outflows in US dollars. And the number one outflow out of all of the ETFs just yesterday, at least, was once again the BlackRock outflow. BlackRock alone saw an outflow of around $1/3 billion, around $333 million approximately, leaving the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF just yesterday, which means BlackRock essentially sold that much Bitcoin over the last day or so in order to pay out that outflow. And so while we're seeing net outflows, this can add a bit of sell pressure in the short term, meaning the price might struggle to go a lot higher in the short term while we're seeing these net outflows. So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame on this chart right here, honestly, nothing's really changed over the last one day. So getting straight into this weekly Bitcoin chart, and the same can be said about this chart as well. Overall, we're still seeing very similar price action right now and very similar signals right now in the weekly Bitcoin MACD to what we saw pretty much exactly 1 year ago. And so we're still seeing the price action that I've been talking about and that we should be expecting, as I've been saying over the last few weeks or so. I've been saying we're most likely going to see a lot of choppy sideways price action on the weekly time frame, most likely until, say, the second half of January, near the end of January. And so of course, choppy sideways price action means short-term bearish and short-term bullish price action, just bouncing around sideways for the next couple of weeks or so, building up ready for that next major move, potentially near the end of the month. And that's simply based on this MACD currently losing bullish momentum in the shorter term, showing very similar signals right now to what we saw 1 year ago. And of course, 1 year ago, it was right near the end of January and early February where we started that next significant move. And if we're taking a look at this 4-day Bitcoin chart right now, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, technically speaking, this massive bearish divergence is still currently active on the weekly time frame, meaning we should continue to expect a bit of a slowdown at least over the next few weeks or so. So essentially, this is in line with this Bitcoin chart right here, telling us we're still likely going to see a bit of a slowdown during the bull market. So most likely some choppy sideways price action over the next couple of weeks, give or take. But as I've explained recently here on the channel, this signal by itself does not guarantee we're about to start a bear market right now. Of course, last time this did start a bear market, but we had a lot of other signals and fundamental factors pointing towards a bear market back in 2022 that are not necessarily the same this time around. And we also have to keep in mind the Bitcoin halving cycles. Of course, we saw the Bitcoin halving in 2020, and then it was 2021 that was the post halving year. So we'll still due to see a bull market during 2021, and then it was the year after the post-halving year that we saw the bear market, whereas 2025 is the post-halving year. Of course, we saw a Bitcoin halving in 2024, so we're still technically due to see a bull market based on those halving cycles as well. But even though a lot of things are pointing towards a bull market in 2025 over the next few months or so, once again, based on this chart right here and this chart right here, this is still telling us that at least over the next few weeks, just in the shorter term, we're still due to see a bit of a slowdown for the time being. And of course, I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks, especially based on this bearish divergence on the daily time frame, which confirmed roughly around 2 weeks ago, right around here. And ever since then, I've been saying we're most likely going to see either short-term bearish price action or short-term neutral price action, so chopping around sideways or potentially a bit of a pullback over the next couple of weeks or so. And that's what I've been saying since all the way back here. So obviously, this has been playing out exactly as expected, and I continue to expect this type of price action at least over the next couple of weeks or so as the most likely scenario. And if we're taking a look at this 12-hour Bitcoin chart right now as I'm recording this video, the Bitcoin price has obviously continued that bounce from this area of support, sitting in between around 91,500 to 92,500. So right at around that 92k level approximately, we have a lot of support right there, as I've explained recently here on the channel since before this latest bounce right here. So obviously the price of Bitcoin bounced at around 92,000 exactly as expected. But now that we've seen this bounce from this support, of course, we've head straight into this area of resistance that I've also been talking about since before this latest rejection right here. And this is sitting in between around 97,000 to 98,000. And so far, as I'm recording this video, this is precisely where the price of Bitcoin is starting to struggle at as expected. We are struggling a little bit, at least around this area on the price chart, but we're still currently testing this area, which means potentially we could end up seeing a breakout, but ultimately we have to wait for confirmation, meaning candle closes above 98,000 in order to actually confirm the breakout above this resistance. And so for now, while the price is not yet confirmed to break out above 98,000, there's still, of course, the possibility we could see another short-term rejection here, in which case we still should find a lot of support at roughly around 92,000, give or take. But if we can finally see a breakout back above around 97 to 98,000 with confirmation, then in that case, the next resistance I'll be watching is sitting at around 99,500 based on these highs right here, acting as previous resistance. And above 99.5k, we also have more resistance at around 101.5k based on some traded volume around here just behind my face cam, as you can see right here, around 101,500, and also based on previous resistance at close to 102,000. So right around there, I'd also expect some resistance. But like I've been saying over and over again recently here on the channel, either way, whether we break out above 98,000 or see a rejection here, either way, I continue to expect mostly some choppy sideways price action. So price action kind of like this, at least over the next couple of weeks or so, as the most likely scenario. And as I've already been saying since back around here, and obviously that's been playing out exactly as expected. And if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take a lot of trades over on B2Nex. So I'll make sure to leave a link to B2Nex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive deposit bonus that you can only claim using that link. So if you simply just click that link to make your account and then deposit $100 and start trading, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit just $500, you get a $100 bonus. Or if you deposit just 1,000 USDT and start trading, you get a $200 bonus straight into your new account. But once again, that is only available if you use the link below this video to make your B2Nex account and then start trading on that account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, B2Nex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But for whatever reason, if you don't want B2Nex, there is also Bybit as another option out there, another exchange I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video. And just before getting into the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is an important chart to watch out for, first, if you haven't already, make sure to follow me over on my Instagram, link down below if you want to get extra content as well, and also some lifestyle content. I'll post more over there, link down below if you want to follow me over on my Instagram. And also be aware of any scammers and copycats out there. I only have one Instagram, which is this one right here, verified, link down below. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the weekly time frame, and right now the Bitcoin dominance is potentially about to cement a lower high in place for the first time in quite a while, especially after this major break to the downside below this key trend line of support, which was sitting at around 57%. And obviously since then we have seen a bounce back above that line, but this is just potentially forming a lower high, which is another bearish signal. So this is obviously starting to look bearish for the Bitcoin dominance, which by the way is not necessarily bearish for the price of Bitcoin, because even if the Bitcoin dominance is bearish, the Bitcoin price can still be bullish. This simply just means the altcoins on average are doing better than Bitcoin. And so for example, let's just say if Bitcoin pumps 10% in a week, while the altcoins pump on average around 30 or 40% in a week, the Bitcoin dominance would have dropped during that week, even though Bitcoin is still going up in price against the US dollar. It just means altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, also known as an altcoin season. And so as crypto holders, especially for the altcoin traders out there, this is definitely a good sign to see, seeing bearish price structure in the Bitcoin dominance like lower highs and breaking below key support. This is a good sign pointing towards a potential altcoin season at some point in the next few months or so, because remember, each one of these candles is one entire week. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, the price of ETH right now is still potentially forming a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is a massive bullish pattern, because we've already formed the left shoulder, the head, and right now we're potentially forming the right shoulder, but this still needs to be confirmed. I want to make that clear in case you're new to all of this. We need to see a recovery in the price of ETH over the next few weeks or so, or over the next 1 or 2 months. At some point over the next 1 or 2 months, essentially, we need to recover back up towards around $4,000, and then we need to see a confirmed breakout beyond 4,000, ideally beyond 4.1k, with at least a weekly candle close beyond that point right there, in order to actually confirm the breakout and confirm this inverse head and shoulders pattern. And if that actually happens, that will set up a huge bullish price target based on this pattern right here at close to $7,000 per Ethereum. But remember, that price target only comes into play, it's only active if we first complete the right shoulder and then see a confirmed breakout above the neckline at around that $4,000 level. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, of course, we still have short-term resistance that we're running into right now, sitting in between around 34.30 to 35.60. But if we could see a confirmed breakout back above 35.60, in that case, we have this area of resistance to watch out for, sitting in between 3.9k to 4.1k. So once again, 4.1k is the level to break out above in order to flip much more bullish again for the price of ETH. And as for short-term support, usually if we break out above previous resistance, that becomes new support. But for now, while we're still finding resistance in this area, if, for example, we see another little rejection here, I would expect some support at close to 3.3k. And below that, we have significant support down here in between $3,000 to 3.1k. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum chart right now, technically speaking, this bearish divergence for now is still currently active, but it's getting close to potentially invalidating. And I talked in more detail about this chart right here in my last video just yesterday. So if you want to know more about this chart in more detail, check out my last video here on the channel. But essentially, if we break out above this area of resistance that I just mentioned earlier, then that will likely just invalidate this bearish divergence, meaning we could finally see a bit more of a bullish relief if we first break out above this resistance. But with that being said, if we're taking a quick look at the price of Chainlink on the weekly time frame, right now Chainlink is still trading right at around this golden pocket, still finding support in the golden pocket, sitting in between around $21 to $23. So for now, that is still the important area of support to pay attention to. But if we were to see a confirmed break to the downside with a weekly candle close, for example, confirming well below $21, in that case, the next short-term support would be sitting at close to $18, at just above $18 right here. And below that, I'll be watching around $16 as another point of support right here. And below $16, I'll be watching around $12, just above $12 as another point of support. But obviously between now and then, we're still finding a lot of support at around $21 based on the weekly candle closes. And the next weekly candle close confirms in around 2.5 days from now. So obviously it's important that this weekly candle close confirms above $21 in order to avoid potentially a further drop down towards these other levels of support. But of course, we still have a lot of resistance to the upside. If we were to see a major bounce here, we still have a lot of resistance at close to $31 based on this previous high right here. And of course, this Fibonacci level still acting as resistance at close to $31. But overall, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day for Chainlink. So getting straight into Solana on the 8-hour time frame, and right now this breakout in the short term is officially confirmed. Obviously, as I said in my last video, the breakout from this symmetrical triangle pattern was already confirmed yesterday, as I explained in my last video, but we're still waiting for a little bit more confirmation to confirm the breakout above this area of resistance right here, so above around $205. But since then, since yesterday, we have seen now multiple candle closes on the 8-hour time frame above 205, which is of course bullish. This is confirmation confirming the breakout above 205, which is the first significant bullish change in price structure that we've seen in quite a few weeks, as we could see. And so right now, Solana has finally confirmed multiple bullish reversal signals. Of course, we've already confirmed higher lows and higher highs in the price. Obviously, that's a change in price structure from lower lows and lower highs. This is obviously a bullish trend reversal signal by itself, but also breaking out from a triangle pattern right here, setting up a bullish price target at around 220, at the same time as also breaking out above a key level of resistance based on previous support, currently acting as resistance, but now obviously we've broken that level. This is another bullish confirmation signal, another change in price structure that we were not seeing previously. Obviously, go back a couple of weeks ago and we were seeing breaking below key support and rejections from key resistance. That was bearish price structure right here, pointing towards a bearish trend. But right now we have seen a change in the price structure, pointing towards a trend reversal. And so right now, when it comes to short-term support, I would expect some support based on this previous area of resistance now acting as new support, sitting in between $200 to $205, acting as support. And below that, I would expect more support at around 197 and more support at around 190 if we were to break back below 200. But obviously, we're still finding support right there. And as for resistance, right now, I'd be targeting around $220 to $223 based on this price target, and also previous resistance close to around 222 to 223 acting as resistance. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 4-hour time frame, right now XRP is obviously moving closer towards a possible breakout from this descending parallel channel, but right now we're flashing a possible warning signal, which still needs a little bit more confirmation, but we have one initial candle close confirming a small bearish divergence here on the 4-hour time frame, with higher highs already confirmed in the price and a lower high with just one confirmation in the RSI here on the 4-hour time frame, which is of course a bearish divergence. And the last bearish divergence we saw something very similar to this, obviously from overbought territories right here, was back around here at the very beginning of December, because as we could see back here, we saw higher highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI. And what came next was a decent pullback over the next few days or so. So just keep that in mind. But of course, this doesn't always result in a pullback like this. Sometimes it might just result in a slight little slowdown like this, for example, as we're finding resistance around this line right here, which is sitting at around $2.50. And so due to the fact that we're currently approaching a major point of resistance and flashing a possible bearish divergence here on the 4-hour time frame, due to these signals, personally, I'll not be opening any new long positions right now. And in fact, I'll be potentially taking some profits from any long positions right now. And so personally, let's just say if I wanted to long XRP, I would either wait for lower prices, or if we don't see lower prices, I'll simply wait for a confirmed breakout above this point of resistance, because then it's a little bit safer. There's a little bit less risk involved if we first break out above resistance, because that would mean invalidating this bearish divergence and obviously clearing a key level of resistance, meaning we could head a lot higher if we first break out above around $2.50, which for now we're still waiting for that. And so until we potentially see a breakout, which obviously might not confirm, but until we see a breakout here, for now, there's that added risk of resistance and a possible bearish divergence to pay attention to. And in case you're wondering, the center line for this parallel channel is currently sitting at around $2.15, and the support line for this parallel channel is currently sitting at around $1.84. And also, usually the price of XRP, along with a lot of major altcoins out there, follow somewhat similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So of course, if Bitcoin is having a decent bounce in the short term, a lot of major altcoins will also likely play out a decent bounce, and vice versa. And remember, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, no matter what direction the price is going, using long positions or short positions, check out those links below this video if you want to claim those extra bonuses over on those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.